I was going to say, if you average the two curves for here somatic reproduction, your own bodily fitness, and sexual reproduction, if you average them, I drew that badly. If you average them, then you see that excluding males from your company, as you do here, excluding males here, 100% male company, here 0% male company, that excluding male company or males from your company is not the best strategy for reproduction. You should include some males in your company. Actually, it falls again. It decreases again when 50% is reached. So now back. If averaging the two curves really reveals that the best strategy for reproductive success is close alliances with both sexes, and if these can be maintained by sexual intercourse, then individuals avoiding and or preventing close same-sex alliances would have a maladaptive emotive basis and be sorted out by selection. Homophobia is, however, not an exception. Somewhat ironically, it is, for instance, court records on anti-homosexual sodomy accusations that make us assume that a large proportion of 15th century Florence men were indeed bisexual. Homosexuality in boarding schools has always been, or they've always tried to prevent that. Why does that survive, if Kirkpatrick's theory is true? Objecting that homophobia is, and it is, correlated with a disposition for homosexual arousal, as Adam's Right and Law showed, that does not help, because even if every homophobic individual had indeed a secret homosexual desire, it would remain to be explained just how that repression could develop and survive. Why does that give you any evolutionary advantage to repress that feeling? The apparently obvious answer, namely that repressing homosexuality makes room for heterosexual activity, does not convince because of the striking economic inefficiency it would involve. It just seems odd that nature would go to such great lengths and would implement a desire which it suddenly represses again, using a considerable amount of energy, rather than selecting purely or predominantly heterosexual drives in the first place, or at least once homosexuality is no more fit. If it is no more fit, it would just vanish. Why would it be repressed? Another thing that comes to my mind here is there could be some odd objection saying that, well, Sartre in his Nausea book, isn't it called Nausea, some novel by Sartre? He, according to some literary critics, there is some correlation between some humanism or philanthropy there and repressed homosexuality. Someone could say, well, maybe repressed homosexuality leads to philanthropic or altruistic traits, and this was good for a society to develop. But I don't believe that. If altruism is good, then it would just have developed by itself, and no. Why should there have been that this energy wasting repression of some erotic desire? Why not just establish altruism just by itself? Why try to comfort and be considerate towards other men because you actually want to copulate with them? It doesn't make sense. Now Jones, referring to Rice, Lessells, and other people who were allowed to publish their work, embraces the theory that genes for optimal traits in females may express low levels of fitness in males. This is his theory of how homosexuality evolves. However, supporters of this hypothesis may wish to explain just why inferior fitness should be correlated with homosexuality. It remains to be, why not with being infertile physically or something like that? Why should it be correlated with homosexuality? Why mating with males? It remains to be seen whether or not the hypothesized sexually antagonistic genes, that's the term, will be evolutionarily stable if the female's increase in fitness is only somatic but not reproductive. Because if it is also reproductive, then the resulting hypothesis will not significantly differ from that very hypothesis offered by Camperio Ciani. Then Jones's theory is the same as Camperio Ciani's. Now comes one explanation of the survival of homosexuality that does very well explain homophobia, but the explanation in itself is pretty dubious. But it's Dawkins's S is the last. It's Dawkins's favorite explanation. That tells a lot about Dawkins, as I think. Homophobia seems well accountable by the sneaky male hypothesis involving trick and betrayal perpetrated by, now inverted commas, homosexual individuals who do fertilize mates of a packs or harems, alpha or beta males behind their backs. This hypothesis, however, hardly accounts for exclusively homosexual mating behavior. The ridiculous theory goes just like this. Males act as if they just like males and fertilize the females of the alpha males behind the alpha males' backs. This is how homosexuality survives. It's basically the theory that homosexuals, especially those that think that their only sexual feelings are homosexual, it in a way says that they are liars. Maybe you could say, well, maybe these sneaky males drive some other males into homosexuality in order that it seems like there is pure homosexuality and the sneaky male is just one of these. But I don't think that people who let themselves be driven into homosexuality like this would have a good or promising could expect to survive in evolution. People who have a genetic basis that makes them behave like that, which lets them be treated like that, these people would just die out as well. This hypothesis, however, hardly accounts for exclusively homosexual mating behavior, especially given the following. According to Rogers and Turner, most adult men with homosexual relations during the preceding year of the study have had little or no adult heterosexual experience. And, very important, sneaky males may not even be necessary for explaining homophobia. And I'll explain it in the next part.